The first lesson is simple. Every meal is temporary, and competition begins once flesh is exposed. Water cuts through this landscape, both refuge and magnet, pulling hunters and grazers together. From above, open ground offers visibility, but it also removes every place to hide. Thick cover changes the rules, giving smaller animals shelter and ambush hunters a blind edge. Across the plains, feeding routes are shaped less by choice than by grass and moisture. These valleys gather movement, turning landscape itself into part of the hunting pattern. A lone antelope can read the wind and flee fast, but it lacks shared warning. Scattered grazers spread the pressure, yet separation makes each animal solve danger almost alone. A larger herd changes the field, creating many eyes and a constantly shifting wall. Against that wall, a lion relies first on selection, not strength. Every slow step tests cover, wind, and access before the chase can even begin. At dusk, the edge between hunter and grazing animal narrows with the falling light. The male's heavy head and shoulders signal power, but that power is expensive to use. Resting together keeps the pride near its claim, while conserving energy for sudden conflict. Pride structure matters because several lions can hold ground, but one animal may lose. On dry slopes, shade and height become quiet advantages for watching movement below. Once meat is secured, cover helps protect the prize from heat, flies, and rivals. Around a kill, feeding is never just feeding. It is a contest over access. Rocky ground slows pursuit, forcing hunters to close carefully before speed has any value. Large prey can reverse the pressure when horns and weight face the attack directly. A big carcass feeds many mouths, but its smell also advertises the kill. Near damp ground, a lion must weigh thirst, footing, and exposure at the same time. Grazers behind the pride show how closely food, danger, and movement overlap here. For a full-grown male, stillness is not passivity. It protects strength for decisive moments. The wider landscape decides the rhythm, from grass growth to where bodies concentrate. Night reduces detail, and that favors hunters built to work from sound and outline. Close within the pride, coordination becomes more important when sight is limited. Grazing animals answer darkness with spacing, pauses, and constant checks toward open ground. Once a carcass lies exposed, the first hunters are no longer the only claimants. A hyena can enter this story late and still compete through endurance and scent. Low light suits a scavenger that can travel far while other animals hesitate. At the remains, jaws and numbers turn leftovers into a serious feeding chance. The margins matter most here, where a cautious approach can avoid stronger rivals. Several hyenas together can pressure a carcass owner that would dismiss one alone. Vultures reveal the meal from above, while hyenas test the ground around it. Tall grass hides movement, but it also shortens warning time for every scavenger. Crossing open ground is costly, yet scent trails and calls can pull hyenas forward. Their advantage is not elegance, but the ability to keep moving after others tire. The heavy muzzle hints at why bones and hide remain useful down the lion's finish. In a group, hyenas shift from cleanup crews to competitors with real leverage. Each pause helps read the dark, where smell and sound carry more than shape. Even rest fits the pattern, conserving strength between long searches and sudden contests. At night, every feeding site spreads pressure outward as more animals detect it. A larger cat changes the calculation, because size can displace scavengers without a chase. Across the dim plain, movement becomes a test of cover, timing, and attention. The leopard enters with a different method, trading group strength for concealment. On open ground, this solitary hunter must keep every approach short and hidden. A tree turns the leopard's climb into protection, lifting the meal beyond many rivals. Vertical space is the leopard's extra territory, useful when the ground becomes crowded. Storing meat above the ground extends one hunt into several safer feeding moments. Back in the grass, the same cat loses height and must trust cover again. Rosettes break the body's outline, helping the leopard disappear among leaves and shadow. Moving along branches demands strength and balance, but it also keeps competitors below. In this habitat, a single tree can decide whether a kill is kept. Close cover lets the leopard wait without advertising its position to nearby animals. Each low step reduces exposure because solitary hunters cannot afford prolonged confrontation. The hanging carcass shows how climbing skill converts strength into secure feeding. In deep shade, the pattern of fur blends with bark, leaf, and night. Forward-facing eyes support the final judgment before a short, sudden attack. With the red horizon, the focus shifts toward a hunter built around speed. Cheetahs face the grassland with a leaner bargain, acceleration instead of brute force. Their light bodies make explosive pursuit possible, but they leave little margin for defense. A quiet scan matters because speed only works after the right target is chosen. Moving through scrub, the cheetah tries to cut the gap before being seen. Every meter saved before the sprint protects energy that cannot be replaced quickly. Tall grass helps hide the approach, though it can also slow the first burst. Standing tall, the cheetah measures open space where turning will decide the chase. Rest before action is practical, because overheating can matter as much as speed. The chase is brief by design, a release of stored power across open ground. At full stretch, the cheetah must close quickly before entrance shifts to the quarry. The antelope survives by changing angles, forcing the hunter to spend speed on correction. After a burst, recovery becomes part of the hunt rather than a pause from it. From a rise, scanning saves energy by finding movement before committing to pursuit. At a kill, a cheetah feeds quickly because stronger mouths may arrive soon. Nearby antelope keep moving, showing how one hunt immediately reshapes the next decision. On bare flats, a cheetah has few shortcuts, so route choice matters before speed. Together, two cheetahs can watch more ground, but they still depend on space. At the water hoe, elephants shift the scale, making smaller animals work around their presence. Herd structure turns drinking into protection, with young animals kept inside the moving group. The closing image widens the story. Every species returns to the resources that bind them. With elephants, the water hoe becomes a test of scale, patience, and social order. Dust rising around the group shows how every step across dry ground spends energy. Shade is more than comfort here. It lets a massive body delay heat stress. At the water's edge, calves remain within adult bodies that control space around them. The trunk turns thorny browse into usable food, testing and stripping branches with precision. Drinking together keeps contact close, so cooling and protection happen in the same place. Moving through woodland, elephants link shade, browse, and water into one practical route. Across tall grass, a loose formation keeps the group flexible without losing protection. Crowding at the bank can look calm, but access depends on size and position. A single elephant on open mud shows how exposure grows once the group is distant. Near shallow water, even a giant must keep the shoreline and open ground in view. Feeding in fresh grass restores energy, but it also keeps the animal visible. Tusks, trunk, and weight let elephants work vegetation that smaller grazers cannot handle. The water now introduces a hunter whose advantage begins before most animals notice it. For a crocodile, stillness is not rest. It is the cover that makes ambush possible. Basking on sand warms the body without moving far from the channel. A quiet bank can hold pressure because every drinker must eventually approach it. Resting near water saves energy while keeping the crocodile beside future crossing routes. Once submerged, the hunter becomes harder to read, with only ripples breaking the surface. Armored skin and a low profile make the shoreline dangerous long before the strike. When a large animal struggles in water, footing and visibility vanish at once. A crocodile needs only a narrow margin where land, current, and hesitation meet. Crossing as a group reduces isolation, but it also fills the channel with confusion. In broken water, the advantage shifts toward hunters already positioned below the surface. After contact, feeding becomes part of the river's economy, not just the hunt's ending. Grassy margins matter because they connect open grazing ground with hidden aquatic routes. On bare sand, the crocodile looks exposed, yet deep water remains only seconds away. Rest beside the bank preserves heat and strength for the next sudden demand. The struggle in dark water shows why every crossing carries consequences beyond the first splash. The focus shifts to rhinoceroses, built for strength yet tied to the same scarce resources. Lowering the head to drink creates a rare, vulnerable pasture for such a guarded body. In dry grass, the horn is visible, but steady feeding is the daily strategy. Heavy bodies can hold open ground, yet water edges still force careful positioning. Moving in pairs adds awareness where brush can break sight lines quickly. Browse and cover help the rhino feed, but they also hide what approaches. Tall grass softens its outline, though nothing fully conceals that much weight. Mud and shallow water become coring tools, as important as forage in open heat. Nearer the grazers, the rhino shares space without relying on their speed. Each step through wet ground shows how power can become awkward at the edge. Resting in open dirt saves energy, while standing presence keeps the area defined. Close bodies show that protection can come from mass and position, not constant movement. From above, the habitat reduces to a pattern of water, cover, and exposed ground. Stalking cover favors a lioness, while open wetland quickly shifts advantage back to size. Cheetahs reveal a different problem. Speed helps only when the ground stays readable. On open plains, every approach is visible, so distance becomes the first defense. As light falls, daytime advantages soften, and hunters must work with changing visibility. The next predator lowers the scale, relying on concealment instead of a chase. Even a flower draws smaller life inward, feeding the web that larger hunters depend on. At the muddy surface, a raised head is the only clue to a hidden body. Among branches and leaf litter, a constrictor turns clutter into cover and leverage. Patterned scales break the outline, making muscle and shadow difficult to separate. Underwater, the same body becomes a moving pressure line rather than a visible hunter. Along muddy edges, slow emergence can be more effective than speed in open pursuit. Roots create narrow corridors where a large snake can move without crossing open ground. In shallow water, the body's strength stays concealed until contact is close. Flooded leaf litter hides shape and direction, forcing other animals to read small disturbances. Coiled muscle shows the strategy clearly. Hold position, close space, then use pressure. Above that hidden world, the forest canopy offers another kind of refuge. For primates, height changes the problem, turning branches into both food routes and escape paths. Dark fur against deep leaves shows how shadow can work as cover. Feeding above the ground keeps movement near fruit while avoiding many floor-level threats. Small hands and flexible limbs make a tangled canopy usable rather than limiting. Back below, the tapir feeds by working vegetation close to the ground. Its snout searches through leaves and stems, favoring steady feeding over pursuit. Streams connect these animals, offering drinking, travel, and concealment through dense forest. At the smallest scale, fallen material becomes food for creatures moving through the soil. These small movements keep nutrients circulating where larger animals only pass through briefly. Birds use the vertical forest differently, turning branches and flowers into feeding stations. Bright frogs show another defense, where being seen can warn rather than invite attack. A red body on a leaf relies on color as much as hiding. For tiny amphibians, stillness and signal can be safer than running. The riverbank returns us to grazers whose best cover is often just a few steps away. Capybaras feed where grass meets water, keeping escape routes close to the body. Dense banks let them disappear quickly, but feeding still pulls them into the open. Chewing near mud shows the trade-off, energy gained while attention must remain divided. Across wet grassland, groups spread the watching burden across many eyes and ears. Resting is not idleness here. Conserving energy is part of staying ready. Even close to cover, feeding keeps the animal exposed to whatever follows the bank. Macaws lift the story upward, where strong beaks turn hard forest food into energy. Their color closes the passage by showing how each habitat layer supports a different strategy. From the canopy, macaws turn height into feeding access, warning time, and quick escape routes. Close together, the birds reduce the cost of vigilance while reinforcing the group around them. Their color is striking, but the real advantage is a beak built for difficult food. A curved bill like this turns husks, bark, and hard edges into usable energy. On bare branches, the flock gains visibility, but every perch also exposes its outline. Inside dense green cover, pair bonds and shared attention help macaws work the canopy safely. Behind the spread wings is control, balancing body weight, while the beak tests the perch. Even a close, still portrait points to the same design, force, grip, and awareness. At the exposed clay bank, parrots trade cover for a resource worth approaching together. Returning to the branches, the macaws show how rainforest feeding depends on constant movement. A pause beneath the canopy is never empty, because shade also limits what can be seen. Deadwood becomes a working surface, while the clay bank keeps drawing birds back below. Flight carries the story out of the canopy, toward quieter hunters waiting near water. At ground level, the story changes to a caiman, where concealment becomes the main advantage. Side by side in the shallows, armored bodies make the water's edge harder to read. Only the eye needs to stay exposed, because the ambush depends on being noticed late. Out of water, the same body looks slower, trading stealth for armor and heat. Back in the channel, that weight becomes hidden power, carried forward with little surface disturbance. On a bare bank, even a resting caiman keeps its head positioned for quick retreat. Young caimans crowd warm margins, but the same watchful eyes appear long before full size. A face barely breaking the surface can monitor the bank, while the body remains concealed. Roots and fallen would create nursery cover, giving smaller reptiles protection without leaving the waterline. The open jaws are not display alone. They can help release heat from the body. The sudden splash explains the patience, because the strike works only when distance has collapsed. After motion, stillness returns, and the small caiman disappears again into leaves and reflection. From the front, eyes and nostrils align as a compact system for watching and breathing. When it rises near the bank, the hidden outline becomes a body built for short bursts. The tail now carries the power, sweeping through water, while the head stays low and quiet. Beyond the swamp, open plains gather grazers wherever grass, tracks, and crossing points converge. Above them, scavenging birds use height to read movement and loss across a wide landscape. The same plain works at multiple scales, from tiny trails to ungulates breaking away. Feeding scenes quickly become shared territory, where hunters, scavengers, and open grass connect. From above, migration appears as lines written by bodies following grass and workable routes. A lone zebra lowers its head carefully, because feeding always narrows the field of view. Mixed grazers spread pressure across the plain, sharing space, while each species keeps different options. For zebras, numbers matter near cover, where shrubs can hide both shade and threat. A quiet edge can reveal where pressure is building, as groups pause before moving on. Stripes do more than decorate. Together they break outlines when bodies overlap at close range. Across open ground, the large herd becomes its own defense, hard to isolate quickly. Seen from above, spacing is strategy, keeping movement possible when pressure shifts through the group. A pair standing apart extends awareness, with each animal watching a different slice of the plain. Close contact also matters, because body position helps maintain group structure in dusty cover. When zebras cross open tracks, the pause exposes them, but also connects feeding areas. At close range, the pattern turns one body into shifting bands that complicate focus. Beside the adult, a young zebra shows the weakest point every group must protect. Where weakness leaves remains behind, vultures arrive with senses adapted to finding distant food. Perched above the scrub, the scavenger closes the arc by returning loss to the food chain.